She hid her son for years when I found out was too late. Welcome to /regrets, like and subscribe if you want more content like this, enjoy. She hid her son for years when I found out was too late. I have been married for 10 years, always thought our relationship was based on honesty. We talked about everything, past relationships, family, even fears about the future. Or at least I thought we did. From the beginning, she made one thing very clear: she didn't want children. She told me she'd had a difficult childhood and didn't think she'd make a good parent. That was tough to hear because I'd always imagined being a father someday. I thought I'd be good at it. But I respected her position, and I buried that dream because I loved her. Fast forward years later, we're married, settled into a peaceful life, no kids, no big complications. Or so I thought. Then one night, out of nowhere, I got a message on Facebook. A stranger. The message simply said, "You should have been at the funeral." I didn't understand it at first. Attached was a picture of a teenage boy, and he looked familiar. Like, hauntingly familiar. It was like looking at a younger version of myself. I asked the sender who they were, and they replied, I was his friend. I just thought you should know what happened. And then they stopped replying. I showed the photo to my wife. Her face drained of color. She didn't even ask who sent it. She just sat down and started crying, deep, guttural sobs. That's when I knew. She confessed that she had a son before we met. She gave him up when he was very young to be raised by a trusted family friend. She never told me about him. She said he wasn't mine biologically. But she stayed in contact with him throughout his life. She sent money, wrote letters, even visited him, all behind my back. Even worse, he thought I was his stepfather. She told him about me but said I wasn't ready to be part of his life. That lie, it crushed me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. All these years, while I was going about life thinking we were child-free by choice, she was living a double life. She said she was afraid I'd leave her if I knew. That she didn't know how to bring it up once things got serious. So she just never did. I asked her why she kept visiting him. She said she couldn't bear the guilt of giving him up entirely, but couldn't bring herself to involve me. She said she always felt like she was on borrowed time. I was angry. Hurt. Confused. And also grieving for a kid I never got to know. She told me he died in a car accident 3 weeks ago. He was still a teenager. I decided to go to the funeral. Alone. I needed answers, and I needed closure. She refused to go. Said she couldn't face his guardians or his friends. At the funeral, I stood in the back. I didn't know anyone there, but when I saw his face in the photos, it hit me like a truck. He looked like both of us. A woman came up to me and said, "You must be him." I asked who she meant. She said, "His stepdad. He talked about you all the time." I couldn't speak. They invited me to look at his room afterward. I was hesitant, but I went. It was surreal. On the walls were comic drawings. Notes. A framed photo of my wife and me that he had drawn. There were birthday cards, some clearly written in my wife's handwriting but signed Love, Mom and Dad. My name was never used, but it was implied. I felt like I'd stepped into an alternate life. One I never knew I had. He lived believing I existed. That I didn't want him. That I ignored him. And none of it was true. After I got home, I didn't speak to her for a few days. I didn't know how. Everything felt poisoned. She eventually tried to talk, but I wasn't ready to hear it. Then I started having nightmares. Of him knocking at our door. Of me turning him away. I'd wake up in tears, heart racing, covered in guilt for something I never even did. She said she wanted to explain, to open up, to do therapy. But every attempt she made just reopened the wound. It wasn't enough. Not even close. I asked her directly, "Were you ever going to tell me?" She hesitated. That was my answer. She wasn't. Not unless she had to. I keep thinking about all the family visits she took alone. The weekend she said she needed time to clear her head. She was visiting him, while I stayed home. Part of me is disgusted. Part of me is grieving. And part of me feels a strange form of jealousy, not of the boy, but of the life I could have had if I'd known him. She's trying now. Cooking dinners. Leaving little notes. Suggesting therapy. But I don't know how to trust someone who created a whole false reality. Worse, her parents knew. Her sister knew. They all acted like he didn't exist whenever I was around. Now I feel like an idiot for ever thinking I was part of the family. I'm starting to question if our entire relationship was built on omission. How can I believe anything else she ever told me? And I'm angry at myself. For not noticing. For never pushing when things didn't add up. For believing the story she presented. I started writing in a journal, just to process. One entry turned into 10. Then I started writing letters to him. Letters apologizing for never being there. She found one of the letters. Read it. Came to me crying again, asking if I hated her. I didn't have an answer. I still don't. She keeps asking if I'll leave. I think she's expecting it. She walks on eggshells now. The power dynamic in our relationship has flipped entirely. We sleep in separate rooms. We barely touch. I avoid eye contact. I just can't look at her without seeing the years I lost. Friends have started noticing. I told one of them the truth. They were horrified. Said they'd never forgive something like that. Others say grief clouds judgment. That people lie out of fear. That maybe this is a mistake she hated herself for every day. I don't know what to believe anymore. I found a small box in her closet. Inside were all the letters he sent her over the years. Some of them addressed to me. She never gave them to me. I sat down and read every one. In one, he wrote, "Maybe one day he'll want to meet me." I had to stop reading. My heart couldn't take it. There was also a voicemail saved on her phone. It was from him, 2 days before the accident. He said he missed her. Said he hoped he would come around one day. I saved the voicemail. I play it sometimes just to hear his voice. It's the only piece of him I'll ever have now. She offered to let me talk to his guardians. To ask them anything I wanted. But I'm scared of what I'll hear. Scared it'll make things even worse. Part of me wants to walk away. Start over. But the other part still sees the woman I married. The one who held my hand through grief, through depression, through so much. But this betrayal feels deeper than anything I could have imagined. It's not cheating. It's not lying about money. It's erasing someone from my life entirely. Sometimes I fantasize about what it would have been like to meet him. Would he have liked me? Would we have bonded? Would I have been a good father figure? I think about teaching him to drive. Going to his graduation. Cheering at his soccer games. All of it gone. I've started seeing a grief counselor on my own. It's helping a bit. But it also makes me see just how massive this wound really is. She keeps suggesting couples counseling. I haven't agreed yet. I don't want to sit in a room and hear more excuses. I want truth. Clarity. Real emotion. But if I leave, what does that say about me? Am I punishing someone for being afraid? Or protecting myself from more pain? I don't know what the right answer is. I just know that I don't feel like myself anymore. I feel like a ghost in my own marriage. I've thought about separation. Taking some time apart. But she says that would destroy her. That she doesn't think she'd recover from that kind of abandonment. Ironic, considering she abandoned both of us in her own way. I've thought about that a lot too. Some say you should never stay with someone who lies this deeply. Others say love is messy and we all carry secrets. I don't know where I land yet. Maybe tomorrow I'll feel different. But today, I feel like something fundamental has broken between us. And no amount of "I'm sorry" can bring him back. Or give me back those years. If anyone out there has been through something like this, I'd really appreciate your perspective. Even just to feel a little less alone in this. Do you think people can really change after hiding something this big? Can trust ever be rebuilt? Would you try? Thanks for reading this all the way through. Writing it out helped more than I expected. So what you think? How would you have handled? Share, like and subscribe for more content like this.